Hey, you know the little electronic scooters, bikes, whatever Lyft likes to call them? Well, they're suing San Francisco over them. Seriously. Hey, hello everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and my oh my. I think we're just going to have a theme this week. I think we're just going to have to name this week Lyft is Awful Week because there are so many awful, terrible things that Lyft is doing. Like, it's really amazing that the timing of this has worked out the way it has because I'm working on a video that shows how horrible Lyft actually is. It's actually going to take a little bit of editing and it's going to be a little different from these little news story vlogs, but I think it's time to start shining a light on how terrible Lyft is. We just did a story about how Lyft was letting a driver drive on their platform with 17 suspended licenses. Well, a license that had been suspended 17 times, I should say. And now they are suing the city of San Francisco because they want to exclusively provide your bikes in the city. And my oh my, does that present some problems. However, before we talk about any of that, let's have a word from our sponsors. Times are changing for gig workers and the gig economy, and there are a lot more gigs from a lot more companies than there used to be. That's why when people ask me where they can go to find resources for the gig economy, I recommend gigworker.com. At this site, you can see what other gig workers are doing and discover better opportunities from industries, companies, resources, and even a forum where you can talk with other people in the gig economy. Gigworker.com is a great resource site whether you work for Uber, Lyft, Postmates, DoorDash, TaxRabbit, Thumbtack, Upwork, whatever. There's a gig for you and there's a forum for you on gigworker.com. Gigworker.com for all your gigs. So here's the Forbes article I have. Lyft sues San Francisco to fend off Uber and others in bike share dispute. It reads, Lyft is suing its hometown in an attempt to block competitors like Uber from grabbing a chunk of the bike sharing market. In the lawsuit filed Friday, Lyft's bike sharing subsidiary Motivate claims that San Francisco is violating its exclusive rights over all bike sharing operations in the city until 2025. The move comes 10 days after the city said it was looking to expand its bike rental program. The company filed the lawsuit through its subsidiary Bay Area Motivate. Lyft acquired Motivate, the bike-sharing company behind New York's City Bike and San Francisco's Ford Go Bike, in July 2018 for $250 million. In the lawsuit filed Friday in the San Francisco County Superior Court, Lyft argues that Motivate's contract with the Metropolitan Air Transportation Commission, a regional authority overseeing 9 Bay Area counties, granted it an exclusive right to operate a bike-sharing program. Okay, so far that actually sounds fairly logical, but let's continue. However, San Francisco's Transportation Agency, SFMTA, operating independently of the MTC, is going ahead with plans to expand its bike rental program. The city wants to quadruple its number of bikes to 11,000 by opening applications for dockless bike operators. Why do you want 11,000 bikes in your city? San Francisco sucks. San Francisco just sucks. I'm sorry. If you grew up in San Francisco, my deepest condolences. This city, why do you want 11,000 bikes on the road? That's going to be such a nuisance. We can't even clean up the bikes that they have now. Anyway, continuing. Lyft argues its exclusive agreement with the city goes beyond docked bikes to encompass all types of bikes. Interesting. Quote, we are eager to continue investing in the regional bike share system with the MTC in San Francisco. We need San Francisco to honor its contractual commitments to this regional program, not change the rules in the middle of the game. San Francisco plans to argue that the agreement applies only to docked bikes, says John Cotte, Communications Director for San Francisco City Attorney. As we will explain in the court, the agreement between Motivate and the city was about a docked bike share system. It does not give Lyft the right to a monopoly on bike sharing in San Francisco. Lyft can seek a permit for dockless bikes on equal footing with everyone else. Okay, I agree with that. And yeah, it is funny because technically you can argue that there are different types of bikes. I mean, after all, there's a bicycle or there's a motorcycle. Both are different types of bikes. And I think what Lyft is trying to argue here is that their contract says bikes. And so that should encompass all types of bikes. Whereas San Francisco is arguing that they had agreed to a certain type of bike. And hey, that's working out for them, and they want to expand that business, which is what cities should do if the business is working. I don't know how it could be. That seems crazy. Anyway, here's the thing. The lawsuit comes at a pivotal moment in a race between Lyft and Uber. Now the two publicly traded companies are fighting not just for ride passengers, but also in new modes of transportation from scoots to bikes. Yeah. In fact, according to Wired, Lyft's lawsuit against San Francisco is bigger than bike share. And we're not going to go through this whole thing because the bottom couple paragraphs is what's really important. Where it says, local cycling advocates say that they are concerned that the dispute between the city and bike share companies might end in fewer accessible bikes in San Francisco. Quote, this lawsuit is really about Uber versus Lyft and who gets to be the private operator of a public good, says Brian Wiedemeyer, executive director of the San Francisco Bicycle Coalition. If the outcome of this lawsuit limits in any way access to safe, healthy, and affordable transportation, people who ride bike share in San Francisco will end up losing out. This is why monopolies are bad. This is not the first time that Lyft has sued a U.S. city. In May, a federal judge dismissed its lawsuit against the City of New York's Taxi and Limousine Commission over new driver minimum wage rules. Lyft had argued that the new rules subtly favored Uber. Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's talk about that for just 1 second. I know it's a little off topic, but Lyft actually argued in New York City that because of the minimum wage requirements, that actually favored Uber because they made more money. You can't make this... You can't not make this stuff up, although I shouldn't be too surprised that they were concerned about that. I mean, in their S1 filing, they did say, we can't afford to pay our drivers minimum wage, so red flag to investors. You don't want to do business with a company that says we can't afford minimum wage employees. Anyway, in many ways, the dispute between San Francisco, the MTC, and Lyft is unique, but the lawsuit may have broader implications for other cities that have contracted with Motivate and for the wider transportation tech landscape, which has been roiled by change in the past 2 years. In early 2018, Jump and Motivate were nearly decade-old companies building up their bike share business, but now they're part of a larger drama, which pits two buzzy public companies, Uber and Lyft, against each other in a fight over city streets and city residents' dollars, all of which gets thrown away because they subsidize everything. So, anyway, here's my opinion. I am not a lawyer. I have not read their contract. I have to make that absolutely clear. Here's the thing, I'm going to kind of side with San Francisco on this one on principle alone. You should not be giving the exclusive rights to something so broad to one company. And if the contract's language is murky, the judge needs to rule on what exactly it should mean. Because again, if it says just bikes, then Lyft could in a sense legally argue that motorcycles shouldn't be allowed in San Francisco because, hey, we have the contracts to bikes in San Francisco. Okay, I know that's probably not exactly how it works. Again, I'm not a lawyer. However, from what it sounds like, Lyft has created like this little docking bike system, and the city apparently seems to think that they agreed to that type of system. It's worked out, so they want to expand and they want to try different kinds of bike transportation. And Lyft is here saying, no, you gave us rights to all bikes on the road, essentially. So, yeah, we're going to have to just see how this works out. This is going to be fascinating. I don't know how ugly this is going to get. It might just get dismissed. Lyft lawsuits tend to get dismissed. But yeah, this is one of the reasons that we're probably going to be theming this week. Lyft is horrible week because they are essentially suing to try to gain a monopoly. And companies who try to do that, whether subtly or aggressively, do not deserve anyone's respect. I know all companies want monopolies and they all secretly try to do that. Lyft seems to be, yeah, they're trying to be a little bit more aggressive about it. And it's kind of like, oh, geez, if you're going to be this aggressive when you're trying to be a monopoly, I don't want to see what you're going to do once you actually have it. And San Francisco's right to call them out that, hey, this we think this is a monopoly. So I'm going to keep you updated on this story when, new news stories comes around. But yeah, Lyft is just evil. I had to put off another Lyft story. However, the next story we talk about is going to involve both Lyft and Uber. So technically, we have a all-day account of Lyft being absolutely horrible people and a terrible company. However, we're going to leave this topic here, and before we move on to the next one, I have to ask, what do you think about it? Do you side with Lyft? Do you side with San Francisco? Are there any lawyers who are aware of exactly what's going on and might be able to provide some insight down below. I would definitely appreciate that. And like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you really enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly. You get access to my Patreon's exclusive blog. Also, if gas prices are getting you just a little bit down, check out the GetUpside app below. It's totally free, but you get cash back on every gas purchase you make. Also, consider subscribing to the Apptrepreneur Vlogs channel. I did a video about a YouTube phishing scam that you might find interesting today. And if you want to talk to me or other fellow rideshare people, check us out at the Apptrepreneur Hangout on Facebook. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.